Your next storyteller coming to the stage is a yoga teacher and storyteller in Portland, and she wants me to let you guys know that she has a yoga class coming up that is a benefit for Nepal, right?
It is, yes.
And it's June 5th at Yoga Boga.
That is correct.
Anything else we should know about it?
No. No, I can't think about that.
All right,
now.
Let's hear it for Kimi Marin, everybody.
Leslie, I'm taking my shoes off. Hello. I'm trying to figure out, you know what? I think I want to take this off. Oh, there, that's enough. Okay. So, in the last 20 years, in a search for my calling, trying to figure out like why I'm here, I worked in the field of domestic violence twice. I spent 7 years as a 911 operator for the Los Angeles County Sheriff's Department. I earned my master's degree in literature, and I started an all-natural vegan lotion business. And none of these really resonated with me. And about 5 years ago, I realized that I was on a path that spoke to me at a very primal level, and that was teaching yoga. More broadly, teaching yoga and Hindu mythology. And I can look over my life, which most of us can, and I can see how all the little puzzle pieces fit to bring me to where I am right now. And one piece stands out bigger than the rest. It was 1994. I was a sophomore at the University of California, Santa Cruz. Yeah, go Slugs. And I had really, really bad skin. And I felt really, really ugly. And I didn't know who I was. And I didn't know what I believed in. But there's one thing that I knew for sure, and I knew a certainty. And that was that I was too dumb to be at that school. And that any moment, somebody was going to expose me for the fraud that I was. And it was during this time that I decided to study abroad. Right? And I had the whole world in front of me to choose from. I could go to Australia, I could go to Japan, I can go to Latin America. And I chose India. And I don't know why I chose India, but it felt right. And India became this big dream, right? It became what I thought about. It became what I spoke about and talked about. I'm sure it became what I journaled about, because I journaled about everything. So I said, all right, I got to do something about this. And I started looking into what I need to do to go to India for my study abroad program. And I started looking into the requirements and the requirements for the requirements and how I needed recommendations and transcripts. And at this time, all of a sudden, all my insecurities began to come up to the surface. Because I was so afraid of being seen. And not simply just being seen as not good enough, but being seen as not enough. And I was sure that I was going to apply, and I was going to be rejected, and I was going to be laughed at, and told that, and asked, why the fuck are you doing this, right? One of the requirements was to speak to the person who had gone the year before. So I remember this clearly. I was sitting in my dorm room, and I wedged myself up into this corner on the floor. And I made the phone call, and I was speaking to this woman. And she began to tell me how hard it is for a woman in India. And she began to tell me how sick she got when she was there. And she began to tell me how much poverty I would see. And in hindsight, as a 39-year-old woman, I realized she was just telling me how it is. She was just being blunt, like this is what to expect. But for the 19-year-old me, I heard, you are too weak. You are not strong enough to do this. Don't even bother. And I let her experience decide for me that I wasn't going to go. And I hung up that phone, and I wasn't going to India. Right? And somewhere in the next few months, few years, I don't know when, I began to regret this decision. I began to realize it was a huge mistake. And do you know what regret feels like? No, it is heavy. It is dark. It is shameful. And regret seemed to wrap its little arms around me and remind me of that time that I was truly weak in the face of fear. And I hate the way regret feels, still do. And so I decided that I would rather regret doing something than not doing something. So because of this, I've jumped out of a plane, and I am terrified of heights. Right? I have backpacked solo around Mexico. I went to graduate school. I hit on my now husband. He does think that he hit on me, but it did not happen that way. I had a kid, and that was something I never really thought I was going to do until later. I am a published writer. I have videos on YouTube. And I'm standing right here today telling you this story. Oh, thank you. Thank you. Somewhere in the past 2 decades, I fell in love with yoga and myself. Somewhere in the last decade, India began to seep back into my periphery. Right? And somewhere in the last 7 years, I fell in love with the gods and goddesses of Hindu mythology. You know, like there's Saraswati. Right? She's our goddess of creativity. She's the goddess of knowledge and the arts. And it's beautiful because she's sitting on this stage and strumming her lute for every single person who's coming up here today. And there's Durga, and she's this warrior goddess, right? And she's sitting in my heart, and she's roaring me on to remain vulnerable. Gotta love her. And somewhere in the last 5 years, I've begun to ask myself, well, what would have happened if I had gone to India when I was 20, right? Where would I be? I don't know. I don't know. But I do know I didn't go. And because of that, I will keep putting myself into the world. And I will keep falling, and I'll keep failing, right? And I'll keep flying. And somewhere in my heart, I do know I'll make it to India. And when I do, it's going to be perfect. It really is. So, thank you. Oh, I can keep it.
Let's hear it for Kimi, everybody. It's Kimi, right? I'm saying your name right?
Yes.
What a wonderful and sort of sad story. It is sad to me. I think this is probably a common theme. There's a lot of women in this room, and don't you feel like sometimes we get sort of robbed of a lot of early opportunities because we're so focused on the wrong thing, whatever it is, like I have bad skin, I am overweight, I'm not attractive enough, and then we take that to mean that I'm not worthy in all these other ways. And then you hit your 30s and you're like, oh, I can do whatever the fuck I want. Why didn't I start this earlier? And but you always feel like this sense of loss for that time, right?
I do, but at the same time, like I said, like so much has happened because of it that I wouldn't turn around. You know, and,
right.
and that includes a lot of mistakes along the way, too. Like people that I just spent way too much time dating, or that's the main one.
Yeah, it's so true because you're looking for validation in all of the wrong places, and sometimes sinking that into just losers. Just big losers. Isn't it so liberating when you wake up from it, though?
From dating those people?
All of this. When you wake up from all of this.
Yes. And it's gonna be really liberating when I walk off the stage and my legs stop shaking. And
no,
I sit
you
down
did great.
And
You
wine.
did great. So, yes. Final question. What is your goal to get to India? Should we do like a Kickstarter for Kimi? Like get Kimi to India? We'll each give $5. I mean, people do Kickstarters for way more worthless shit. Like this. We can get you there.
I will take it.
All right. Be on the lookout for Kimi's Kickstarter, everybody. Let her hear it. Thank you so much.